Hi, in this video, I will be reviewing the movie The Party, which you can watch on Netflix. So it is a three-episode murder mystery movie. So it is directed by Yemi Film Boy Murafa. So the movie opens up with this birthday party celebration where this guy is giving a toast, and all of a sudden, something or somebody just drops into the pool, and we get to find out that that's actually the celebrant, who they are all gathered to celebrate. So he is dead. In case of who done it, so some police officers are called in to investigate and figure out who is behind his death. So that is basically what the party is about. How this guy Bobo, who is the son of a wealthy man, who is of course like wealthy himself, being celebrated by his friends, loved ones, family, and in that celebration somebody kills him, or he dies. So I didn't know what to expect, watching the movie, saying that I did not watch the trailer. So I was happy to see like some really wonderful actors, like on the cover, the movie cover. So I was excited to see what the movie had in store. So for the actors now, we have the lead guy, the one who is deceased, who is Bobo, was played by Kunle Remi. And of course, we know how, good of an actor he is. Although we didn't get to, should I say, know his character so well, we got to see like bits and clips of who Bobo was to, different people at the party. So we didn't get to experience or know Bobo as an audience. So that was one thing that was just, it was just like a bit of, when we get to see Bobo, it's more like flashback or somebody trying to remember. The story is basically centered around the death of this guy, but we don't really know much about this guy other than what everybody else is telling us about him. But yes, then of course we get to see his wife, who is Muturayo. She's played by Kehinde Bankole. Like, this woman is a phenomenal actress. Like, I really look forward to her movies, and of course she did not disappoint in this movie. So in this case, she is this mean bitter witch of a wife that everybody claims she is. She got married to this guy who his parents are against, and his friends said that after they got married she completely changed their friend and everything. But we didn't really also get to you know Moturayo as a person. She always gave us this cold vibe. She always gave us this mean look. We didn't really get to see or know what her relationship was like with her husband. But regardless, she gave such, a fierce performance, coupled with the whole her husband being dead, and of course the number one suspect would be the wife. And now everything sort of conveniently fits that, she was the one that killed her husband. Then we get to see his parents in this movie. So Mr. and Mrs. Balogun, who are played by Shaffy Bello and Bimbo Manuel. So it was, they did the whole socialite, rich and powerful, family, and how they felt like, having money and influence would make the officers do what they wanted them to do, which is basically jumping to the conclusion that the wife is the one that killed their son. So it was interesting seeing them act as a couple. I think it's my first time seeing them as a couple. But the wife, the mom, was of course very expressive. I think she alongside Bobo's wife were the most emotional people out of everybody else. They were the one that gave us the feeling that somebody actually died. Like, you understand, every other person seemed to have sort of moved past it a bit quicker than expected, but you could see how it affected her, and she was very, very expressive about it. Like, she looked like she had been through, like, I was like, why are they making this woman look so, like, you see her eyes, the redness, tears. Like, she really embodied that character so well. Like, she gave us the grieving mother thing so well. Then on the other end, the father and his secrets, and the whole blackmail thing with the son, it was just a bit messy, their relationship, I guess. Then of course we also get to see his friends. So Bobo has his group of friends, or should I say his clique of friends. We have guy Martin, who is played by Ayola. So he gives us this bad boy vibes. He smokes, he takes substance, he messes around with women, and he's just typically the bad guy. He gives off this bad boy character. And it was interesting seeing Ayola play that role. Like, if you're familiar with Ayola, you know him from Skinny Girl in Transit and, Men's Club. And he's just like a sweet, successful billionaire, lover boy. But in this movie, he was quite different, which was interesting to see. Although we didn't even get to see much from his character because we didn't really know what his character was about. We just knew that he borrowed money from, Bobo, and he sort of seemed like one of those friends that are with you because of what you have. Also have the friend John Paul, who is played by Uzo Aruko. Like, I like seeing him in this movie, but his own character seemed, I guess, he seemed like one of the good friends or one of the good guys in the group. And he was married, had a good head on his shoulder, but that was about it. He got to find out that Bobo was, messing around with his wife, and that was just the thing about his character. There wasn't, more to it. Alongside, the other two guys in the group. So we have Deji, who is played by Ray Adeka, and of course we have Chidi, who is played by Ben. So with them, we don't even know what their story is as well. I don't like, for a lot of characters in this movie, there wasn't much of character development, I guess. They were just, how do you know the dead guy? What is your link with the dead guy? There wasn't really much. Apparently, they are all friends. They've been friends for years. That was just it. But we didn't really get to know or get attached to each individual character. I guess they played their roles to the best of their abilities. There's also the character Kadri, who is played by Femi Branch. I think his character was also one that was quite interesting to watch. So he's this neighbor who is very notorious. He's known for being dangerous, I guess. I just like enjoyed his character compared to everybody else. His performance stood out, of course. His interrogation scene was interesting to see, and how it sort of seemed like, some people were afraid of him, or because of what he had done, or there's this perception of he kills people and whatever. So I enjoyed, Femi Branch in this movie. Then we also get to see Queen, or Mrs. Ibe, who is John Paul's wife. So she's played by Tope. Her character was this, very seductive, babe. And she did her own thing well. Like, she brought her emotions when needed. She gave off a lot of feminine, sexual energy when she needed to. Then some other familiar faces we get to see. We get to see Shego Arinze, who played, I think he was the lawyer, the prosecutor in the case. We get to see the maid, we get to see, there was this lady that wore pink, this lady that was with the wife. We didn't like, who is she, what is she doing there, why wasn't she questioned? Like, that one is also a red flag. Then of course, Bobo's friend, at the office, his work colleague, who is Ralph, who is played by James Gardner. Also, with him, there is not much to say there, just that these two people work together. But in what capacity, like, what's their relationship like? Like, there's just a lot of holes and, gaps in the movie in regards to a lot of things, actually. But that's just by the way. Then coming down to the detectives or the police officers handling the case. So we have the lady Habiba, who is played by Eva Ibia. Her character, when I first saw her, I was excited, of course, to see what she does with this role. But her character left me wanting more. I guess she gave us the impression that out of the three of them, she's the one that, has her thinking cap on. She's the one that will get this thing done. But she just wasn't delivering it. She was just, either she's writing down on her notepad, or she's, going through flashback, or some traumatic moments, or she's just observing things and little pieces about everybody and not really saying anything. So, like, her character could have done so much more compared to the other two. One was just there chewing gum and just being, basically, should I say, kissers. Then the other guy was basically just sucking up to Bobo's parents, and what he could get, just talking up to the parents, basically. So we have actor Etim Caleb, was played by Kelechi, and Moshood was played by Yomi Fash. So that's just the detectives or the officers didn't, they just dropped the ball on that, because I guess they could have taken charge, and I guess maybe how they handled the interrogations and how they handled everything would have directed the storyline better. But regardless, I guess they did what they could do in their capacity. Then who else? Of course, then there's the prophet, apostle, who is Bobo's mother's prophet that gave her a prophecy that how she would figure out or know who is behind the death of her son. Then of course some other familiar faces that you would see and you would recognize from movies. But that's just it. So the actors honestly are top tier actors, so you know that their performance would be stellar, but gave us this sense of more could have been done, or they did not handle the delivery of the story better. So basically, the movie, this guy Bobo gets killed, and with the way the story goes, it made it seem like anybody, and everybody would have a reason to want to kill him. For instance, with his dad, he apparently blackmailed his dad to sell off the property to him, to convince his mother that they should sell the property. So just imagine how bad it could be that your own son will be blackmailing you with your dirty secrets. And of course, we have this guy Kadri, who is notoriously known for being dangerous. Apparently, Bobo got his niece, or is it his daughter, pregnant. Then on the other end, we have JP, who finds out that his friend has been having an affair with his wife. On the other end, we have Marty, who has this debt of 150 million from Bobo. It just made it seem like the number one target or the number one suspect was the wife, because everybody had something bad to say about her. She was controlling. It was like he was living in bondage in the marriage. He was changing his lifestyle because of her. He neglected his mother because of her. It was just like basically painting her as this bitter witch that just sort of snatch this guy out from the reality of his life. With the whole as a murder mystery movie, everybody is lying or sort of bending or twisting the truth, saying their own perspective, trying to make themselves look good, not trying to implicate themselves and all of that. I guess the movie is like an attempt at a murder mystery, which is a good attempt. Like a lot of things, I think I've been mentioning them, like a lot of things do not, add up for me. Okay, we kept seeing this surveillance CCTV stuff, footage being shown. So I'm like, is it that the officers overlooked that fact, or maybe they looked through the footage and we just did not get to see it? Because whenever somebody is giving us their own perspective of their timeline with the dead guy, we get to see the CCTV footage. So I'm like, they should stop using that to explain what they are saying. Like, it was just upsetting because I'm like, the detectives did not make reference to that. Why do we keep seeing that? Then of course the thing with Queen lying, it was obviously a lie. Like, it was so obvious that her husband was not aware. Her husband did not find out about the cheating. I'm like, how could they just believe? Do you understand? Like, this guy Moshood made it seem like these two detectives are so elite. They're like some of the two of their best, and we're not getting the detective skills of the police force best too. So it was just like, make it make sense. Like, even the lady that we thought was going to have this thing on lock did not do that. Everything, like all the elements they needed for a good murder mystery was there, but it just not cut it for me. I don't know how else to explain it. Okay, even when we now finally get to see who did it, when the killer was eventually revealed to us, like there was no context as to why, like what is the reason. Like, it just made it seem like, okay, is it because of the apostles prophecy? They just sort of want to make it make sense to us or something. And even how the thing just, it just left us hanging, like, okay, this is the killer, take it, bye bye, and it just closes out. Was without any form of explanation. There was no build up, there was no like tension between the relationship. At a point, it just seemed like the officers were just focused on uncovering everybody's dirty little secrets than actually getting down to who killed this guy and giving us like compelling motive as to why the killer did it. It was just frustrating and upsetting because you have a lot of unanswered questions. Generally, I guess it is an okay watch if you're curious to see, who the killer is, or have your own thoughts on the movie. Then you should go check out the movie. If you're also a fan of any of these actors I mentioned, then you will of course enjoy watching them. in this movie. But honestly, the movie for me had a lot of holes. Dropped the ball a couple of times, and it was not because with the whole murder mystery thing, you're like also doing your own investigation and trying to figure out who the killer is, why the person did it, trying to make sense of it all. But with this story, it didn't, do that. It didn't do that for me, anyways. But regardless, if you've seen the movie, do share your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinion. What would you rate the movie? I would rate it 3/5, like A for effort. And it's really, really nice getting to see, a couple of Nigerian movies giving us, murder mystery type of movies. So I guess slowly but sure, we would eventually get it right. I was also actually wondering to myself that what if somehow, what if this guy wasn't, pushed? Because I kept having this notion that he was pushed to his death. And then like, what if he wasn't actually pushed? So go watch the movie to see whether he was pushed or not. And it was so convenient that the wife was the only person that was out the balcony when the guy fell into the pool. But yeah, so it's interesting to see that in play.
If you're new to my channel, do subscribe, like if you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.